Nice to meet you guys. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Hey, real quick, since you guys gave an introduction, just in case you don't know me, my name's Pat McNamara. I go by Pat Mac, whatever. I work for my own company called T-Max Inc. I'm a retired military guy. I did 22 years. It was all special ops time. I was fortunate in that my career was just all special ops time. I had a very cool career. Um, it wasn't without trials and tribulations. Of course, I didn't fall into anything. It was a lot of work, a lot of dumb luck too. But it turned out being something that I could look back on with a lot of pride. I retired. My last 13 years were in Delta, which a lot of you guys don't know. A lot of people don't know, but Delta's comprised with uh, troops from all branches of service. So it's an all service unit because when Delta recruits, they can't minimize their pool from which they are trying to select. They have to find the best people in all the branches of service. I worked there for 13 years. I retired in '05, and I've been on my own training people under the banner of called T-Max Inc. since then. And in that time, I've trained about, excuse me, about 15,000 people, roughly. I kind of put the numbers together. It could be closer to 18,000. Um, and from all walks of life, I've trained all branches of service, all federal law enforcement, and all skill set of civilian. I work a lot with civilians because I need them to be responsible and trained gun handlers. And I need the LEOs to be trained up because, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. They're in constant fear of litigation liability. There's a fucking lawsuit attached to every round they fire. So I need those guys to be trained up. But I appreciate. Oh, first off, let me digress real quick. Kudos to Colonel Tsicano for putting this together. You never know what you can get unless you freaking ask for it. Know what I mean? So kudos to you, Colonel, for reaching out, because let it be a lesson. You never know what you could freaking get unless you just ask somebody. So right on. And I hope this is a productive use of time. I don't want to waste anybody's time because time is valuable as your time is valuable as is mine. So I hope you guys appreciate the world in which you live. You're kind of, especially when you're training entry level troops, you are entering superhero status, and with great power comes great responsibility. To coin a superpower line, superhero line. So you're kind of in that superhero status as a schoolhouse instructor. When you're a podium guy, everybody's looking at you. You have to realize that you've got to be the right person who's going to say the right thing to the right person at the right time. And I hope also that you look at this opportunity as a privilege. It is a privilege to be a podium guy. And I use the term podium loosely. I know that you're not on a podium all the time. If you're an instructor, I just call it having podium time. It's just phraseology. Because if you take advantage of podium time and you understand that you're the right person who's going to say the right thing to the right person at the right time, and that your message has to be palatable and it has to be delivered with vigor and with professionalism, there is great fulfillment in that. And there's nothing more rewarding than being fulfilled, and I do what I do and I continue to do it because of that fulfillment. If you didn't have fulfillment, and purpose, you're stuck in a rut. You're stuck in a mundane world, and you become a product of institutional inbreeding. But when you're in that position and you are relaying that message, you're, trying to forge tomorrow's badasses, it should be fulfilling. You should get that sense of fulfillment from it. And I just hope you appreciate that, you know, and it's a world, it's not riddled with ambiguity, you know, like when you're deployed and stuff like that. It's very black and white, but the rules are simple. You know, never show up late, light, out of uniform. Know what your curriculum is. Know how to deliver it. Know how to deliver it better than how it is intended to be delivered from a 3-ring freaking binder. But you know, with your own flair, with your own style. Um, and I because this is the world in which I live. This is what I do full time. Even before I retired, I worked for 2 years training Delta guys, OTC, operator trainers course. And that's a 6-month school. And you're training America's ultimate freaking badasses. I mean, there's recon guys in there. There's Rangers. There's paratroopers. There's SEALs go to freaking Delta selection and OTC. Air Force PJs and combat controllers. So I worked in that capacity for 2 years, ran 4 OTC classes. And while that was going on, all my mates were deploying. You know, they're pushing overseas because this is 04 and 05. So I had to strap hang with other squadrons that were not, you know, with guys who I wasn't working with prior, squadrons I wasn't organic to, but I was deploying nonetheless in between running classes. So I also understand the sacrifice. Like, I guess that's what I'm saying, because it requires long hours. It requires painstaking attention to detail. And one of the big things too, and I'll shut up here in a second and field some questions. One of the big things about being in a podium slot is, you've heard me say twice or 3 times, you want to be the right person who's going to say the right thing to the right person at the right time. You also don't want to be that guy. It only takes 5 seconds to say the wrong thing, fuck something up, and then it's going to take the next guy 3 days to unfuck that mistake. So you've got to be careful not to put your foot in your mouth too. So you could never be in the white. You understand, like Cooper's color code. You know, when you're on a podium slot, you know, Cooper's color code, white, you're in the zombie mode, and red, you're fighting for your life. When you're in that podium mode, you could never be in the white. You've always got to be at least condition yellow. You know, so you've got to be head on a swivel, attention to detail, and you've got to be omnipotent. You have to have the ability to know and see it all in your field of expertise. You know, when you're teaching tomorrow's badasses, you've got to be switched on. So anyway, I appreciate the world in which you're living right now, because you're making people better people. That is your job right now, making people better people. You're forging tomorrow's Marines, because they're not yet. They're fledgling. You know, they're still in the nest. They still have downy feathers. So anyway, that's my opening statement for what it's worth. And thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity to be here with you guys today. You could just, if you guys have a question or what have you, you could just sound off with it, raise a hand, sound off with it.
Hey, Pat, I'll
Yes, sir.
open up the first question. Again, thanks for doing this. But when you look at like time management,
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we take a long time to learn. And
Yep.
eventually, once we've figured out how to master our time, it's almost too late. And
Right.
I kind of say that tongue in cheek. It's never too late, but
Right.
I'm even learning how to do that. So do you have any advice given your experience?
Yeah. So even now in my life right now, I've cut back on training, but even in my life as it is right now, I have 0 disposable time. Now, one of the adages I still stick to, one of my maxims, because this was a Delta saying, never be late, light, or out of uniform. If I'm not an hour early, I am fucking late. And if I am late, please come look for me, because I am dead somewhere. One of the things I still do is I work off of dry erase boards, because I need that structure, you know. So I have nobody managing me now. And I have 4 full-time jobs. I have T-Max. I have combat strength training. I have a Patreon online coaching group, and I have a storefront, an online store where I have to do all my own fulfillment. And then on top of that, I have this thing, which is a massive quantity of social media, because I'm on all of the platforms. So I have zero disposable time. Plus, I write for 3 different magazines, and I do DVDs and write books and all this crap. So, of course, we have to work by a calendar for time management. But time management, a calendar's tomorrow. What we need in addition to that, for me, I work on whiteboards, and I work on 3 different whiteboards. I have immediate, which is right in here in front of me. This is immediate. So when I'm at my desk, this is the shit that needs to be, this is prioritized. So this is the shit that needs to be done right now. In my kitchen, I have tomorrow. So mission essential task list for tomorrow. And it's the things that I know that need to be done tomorrow. If they don't happen tomorrow, then I am given a little bit of fudge factor. And permission. I give myself permission to roll those over to the next day, whatever's left over. In my laundry room, which connects my house to my garage, and I walk through it 4 times a day at least, I have what needs to be done this week. The shit needs to be done this week. So it's always on the tip of my mind. But time management is a discipline issue too. It's all about discipline. I mean, we find ourselves task saturated a lot of times because we get, waylaid into other tasks that aren't on that mission essential task list, or we get sidetracked, or we get distracted, with devices, with phone calls, with just chewing the fat with our buddies. So it becomes imperative that we stick with that, block to block, hour by hour mission essential task list. I mean, I know I'm using that term loosely. I know what a medal is, but in me as a civilian, that's what I'm calling it. My day-to-day thing, my medal, my mission essential task list. So, I've become pretty good at managing time, even though I am task saturated. Because I'm 7 days a week. There's no Saturday and Sunday. When people say have a nice weekend to me, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? But I realize, oh, okay, yeah, you're Monday through Friday. But if I don't stick with that timeline, then I know, because I'm ADD like a motherfucker, I am going to get sidetracked. I am going to get distracted. I am going to find myself falling behind the power curve, and that's a bad place. It's a horrible feeling. Especially if you have pride in yourself, it's a horrible feeling when you get caught behind the power curve, when you're like, fuck, man, I should have been done with all these tasks by now. It's 1500. Now I only have so many hours left in the daytime. Half of the day is gone, and I've already fallen behind the power curve. So I try to mitigate that by making sure I stay mission focused and stay on task. And then I'm even going to get ahead of the power curve if I can. So, like, for instance, this was on my task list. It was on this call we're doing was on my weekly calendar. It was on tomorrow's calendar and immediate calendar. And then I planned shit. I got up an hour early this morning to make sure that I could knock out all my admin crap and get my chores done before this. But, you just plan the day around it. So that's one of the things that I do is I'm a big fan of the whiteboard, taking notes and just crossing that shit out, man. Crossing it out, as the day goes, just chipping away. And the other thing is, once again, you get that sense of fulfillment, when you're erasing shit that you have to do for the day and boom, it's gone. I mean, mission complete, on that task, on that one. And then pretty soon you start chipping away at the rest. And so by the end of the day, you realize, all right, good. I had a good, productive day. I didn't cheat myself. I didn't cheat anybody else, which is more detrimental, cheating other people. You could cheat yourself, but don't cheat anybody else. So that's how I stay on task and manage my time.
Hey, Pat, this Matt's going to return back. You said you've been on the platform for quite some time.
Yes, sir.
How do you mitigate the Groundhog Day effect where
Oh.
these instructors who teach class after class after class,
Mhm.
what are some of the tricks and techniques that you have learned to prevent that Groundhog Day from happening?
Bro, I totally get that. I totally get that. Because keep in mind, for the past 10 years, my tempo has been this: 4 courses a month. These are 2-day courses in a different state at 4 courses a month in a different state every week. So dragging all my shit to the airport, gun box, gear box, all my shit to the airport, flying to a state somewhere, training 20 new freaking dudes that weekend, getting home, doing all my freaking admin bullshit, all my weapons maintenance, all my email, unpacking, cleaning my shit, and packing again. That's the tempo it's been. That's my tempo for the past 10 years. And 10 freaking years, man, of that. 10 fucking years. I am so sick of it. I am so sick of that freaking lifestyle. But I'm still teaching, but I'm just doing it local in my state of North Carolina now. The travel sucked it out of me. So I was running into that. Can you imagine 10 years of that, right? I was running into that, the same instruction over and over and over and over. Now, to mitigate falling into that rut, right? One of the things that I constantly did was adjust my verbiage and delivery. So that way it wasn't the same for me every single time, because I have all of these people looking to me to impart this vast quantity of knowledge in tactics, fighting, close quarter battle, and shooting. And I know that I have to be on freaking point because they are 100% dependent on me to relay this palatable message. I also understand that there are people that I am teaching who their give a shitters are broken. You know what I'm saying? So basically what I'm doing is I'm feeding caviar to a hog because their give a shitters are freaking broken. But so I deliver the message to the people who really 100% give a shit, and I make sure I adjust the verbiage. I try to make it a little different every time, because we don't want to get into a routine where it becomes boring, because routine is the playground of a dull mind. So if you're not trying to figure out ways to improve your delivery and your method of instruction, you're going to be that. You're going to be dull, and you're going to just fall into a rut, and you're going to start hating what you do. So the other thing is, I might try to adjust not only delivery, but how my style, style of instruction. So constantly trying to improve. So I'm a walker and talker, and I'm a gesticulator, because we human beings, we think more efficiently when we are in motion. So I make sure that I'm fluid and I'm in motion while I'm teaching somebody something. I am also try to give a shit that they give a shit. So I'm encouraging, hey, make sure you take notes on this because this is good stuff. This is gold. So take notes on it. Hold on, there's more. There's more. And then you could always become better acquainted with the curriculum or the subject matter that you are teaching. Because even if you're an expert, there's something you don't know about the curriculum that you're teaching. There's something that you don't know that somebody else does. And there's always emerging technology. You could forecast what may be presented, in this particular topic or with this curriculum. So, but once again, that comes down to discipline. How freaking disciplined are you? Are you disciplined enough to be the best at your particular craft? And that craft right now is, podium time, is conveying a message to others. And then you have to, the other thing is, I get motivated when I know I'm motivating people. That fires me the fuck up. People say, bro, how do you stay so motivated? I go, it's because of you. So thank you. If I'm firing you up, bro, you're firing me up. So when I am teaching, if I can exert enough effort, because trust me, there's days when I am down. I'll get to a training site and I'm like, holy crap, man, I am smoked. You know, it's my fourth or fifth class and 38 freaking degrees and pouring rain. And I've got to be on the range all day long, pretending like this doesn't suck. And I am just absolutely smoked, or just the opposite, 5 classes in a row where it's 98 degrees and 90% humidity. And I'm on the range all freaking day having to motivate people. But if I see that flash in their eyes, if I see those north and souths, and I see that I'm firing them up, man, it reinvigorates me. It just fires me the hell up. If I know that I am motivating the guy I'm teaching, then I'm going to get fired up. So there's a couple for you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey Pat, quick question.
Yep.
So going back to your repertoire, your history with soft, and you've seen a lot. I've only been exposed to soft for about 2 to 3 years with so-called and Mark talk, and I know money is sometimes it's not an issue when it comes down to leaving that type of organization and getting into what you do today, almost similar to what we do. We always restricted with some type of funds.
Yep.
How do you mitigate the shortfalls of resources when it comes down to important realistic training in order to leverage the most resiliency out of people? How do you looking at what you know and what you do, and funding being a major issue, civilian or military?
Yeah, well, you're kind of a product of your ability to be creative, and imagine. And, Marines are known as being innovators, right? That's one of the things that the Marine Corps is known for, being innovators, being creative. And the other thing that we can't do is we can't squelch initiative, or expeditionary mindset. I think I'm going to answer your question, sir. I'm getting to it. What you're saying is how to get biggest bang for the buck, right? Basically. Yep. So, there's a lot of guys that have asked me for training, and a lot of military, a lot of times they get squelched because of funding. But if you could, one of the things that like the Marine Corps has done, they'll send like 2 guys to one of my local courses, one of my local instructor courses. And it doesn't matter what the curriculum is that they are teaching. What they're picking up for me is that, delivery, how to run a line, how to communicate with people, how to, answer questions, with brevity, being short, clear, and concise, not being long-winded, knowing what to say, and more importantly, or as equally as important, knowing what not to say. So that's one way. So that train the trainer thing, and the other is just being creative, using your imagination, using that expeditionary mindset, and trying to figure out how to get good bang for the buck. How can I do driver's training if I've got no running vehicles, for instance? How does one do marksmanship training without bullets in the range? You sign out guns and you do dry fire drills, for instance, but they have to be comprehensive, systematic, and progressive. They've got to be well thought out drills, but you could get so much marksmanship training, so much out of the benefits are just gigantic. If you know how to run it well, you can get massive reward from, and I'm using marksmanship as an example because it's an easy one for me to talk about. But you could get huge freaking rewards from dry fire training and the unit itself is paying zero freaking dollars, you know, from whatever color of money that those training funds come out of. But it comes down to creativity and imagination, and also encourage. This is one of the things that the unit did. All ideas when I was in Delta were driven from bottom up. Nothing was driven from top down. So everybody had the opportunity to think for himself and was encouraged to think for yourselves. I remember being a cherry staff sergeant there, and writing up TTPs for a mission that we actually conducted in Bosnia, you know, doing a PIFWIC hit, persons indicted for war crimes. And here I was, a cherry staff sergeant, and we went and did a snatch mission where we did not have complete autonomy in this area that we were denied, you know, as U.S. forces. And I wrote the freaking TTPs for it because that shit was, you know, encouraged. Generate ideas from bottom up. And when permission like that is granted, you'd be amazed at the knowledge base that surrounds you, because you have to, you know, when you work in a group like that, you know, in a schoolhouse, one of the things you have to accept is none of us are smarter than any of us. There's a knowledge base out here, and I want to pull from as many resources as possible, you know, to find the best answer to a solution that is ambiguous in nature. So I think that when it comes to, you know, funding and training and stuff like that, you are limited to your imagination, not necessarily just resources, but your imagination and initiative. Yep.
Thank you.
Right on.
So a quick question for you. You said the people who have a give a shit, but here at the schoolhouse, since they're entry-level Marines, not all of them do give a shit. So do you have any examples on how to make them give a shit? Without?
No, I totally get that, because I've worked with, see, when I run an open enrollment course, mostly what I do is open enrollment. So people sign up. Like I just ran one last weekend, and they sign up and they pay out of their own pocket. I had 2 cops drive from New York down to North Carolina, paid out of their own pocket. I had one guy come from California, one guy come from Texas. I had people from all over the country, you know, so they give a shit, as you can understand. When I am contracted out to do training for a unit, like an Army unit, Marine Corps unit, or let's say a LEO unit, you know, so whatever it is, you know, the freaking Illinois State Police or whoever. I know that there's going to be people who their give a shitters are broken. I know that. I know that for a fact. And you know what I do? I sort of freaking ignore them, because they're not going to bring me down. I'm here for the guys. And there was one, oh my God, there was one, I could tell you some horror stories. I did a, you know, Fort Jackson Army base. I did a course for their drill sergeants. Talk about the most ate up motherfuckers on the planet. I mean, I was blown away how freaking ate the fuck up they were, and the shit they were putting out, you know, to, you know, line troops and combat armed soldiers. But you should know how a, you know, aim point gets mounted to a rifle, that kind of thing, if you're a drill sergeant. But I had 25 of them in this one particular course, and about 19 of them, their give a shitters were broken. They did not care one bit about being there. There were 3 dudes though who were fired the fuck up, and I was present for those guys, because I wasn't going to let these other people bring me down. Because if I could change one person's life, that's going to have a trickle down effect at some point. That knowledge is going to trickle down. My ability to motivate him is going to inspire him to motivate others. And there's going to be a trickle down effect. I might not be privy to it. Might not be present, but it is going to freaking happen. So I am present for those guys. I just did a one in Tennessee for LEOs not too long ago. I had the same thing. Half of the class didn't give a shit, but half did. And I was there for them. The other half, what I know is I am feeding caviar to a hog. I'm saying all the right shit. My thought process was, as long as their guns are pointing that way, I don't give a fuck. As long as they're pointing into the berm. But if those guys who don't give a fuck, if they are light out of uniform, I'm going to jump in their shit. I'm going to put my freaking E9 stripes on, and I'm going to come at them off the top rope, and I'm going to fuck them up. Or if they, if they're a safety hazard at all, I am going to reserve the right to kick their stinking asses off the range in a nanosecond, because they're not going to interfere with my wanting to give training to these guys who give a shit, because I am present for them. But I usually establish that pretty early in the game. Now, let me digress here. You can't give up hope. Now, every once in a while, I'll have somebody who doesn't give a shit. And you know what it is? It's a confidence thing. And I'm like, damn, man, you got to be careful, because it's a confidence thing. You don't want to squash somebody. You don't want to be more detrimental to their confidence. And you might not even realize. See, the more you work around people, the more you run a line, the more you teach classes, the better you get at reading people. So every once in a while, I'll see a guy and I assume that his give a shit is broken. But when in fact, he has a confidence issue. He's not picking up the material. Maybe he's ADD, maybe he's dyslexic, maybe he's got a learning disability like dyslexia. So I'm going to give a shit until I've exhausted all resources. Like if he does something good, let's take the shooting thing again. All right. You put a group on paper with a pistol at 15 yards. And I'll say to that guy who I think doesn't give a shit, I say, damn, bro, that was an improvement already. Kudos. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep rocking. Just short, clear, and concise. Bring the cadence and the tempo down. Bring my delivery and my message down a little bit. And if that has an effect, a positive effect, now I know, all right, I read him wrong. I have to start giving a shit because this guy's got an issue. It's a confidence or a learning type of, and smart people have learning disabilities. Don't get me. I mean, some of the smartest people I know have learning disabilities, and without given an opportunity, if they're not given that opportunity, they're going to fail in life. They'll fail the rest of their lives. I was just with somebody. He's a freaking bazillionaire. Oh, I did a podcast with this guy. He's a bazillionaire. I was a guest on his podcast, and I got to talking with him, and he disclosed that he has some sort of dyslexia where he could only recognize words on paper by their shape, by the shape of the word. So he can't even write legibly on a like a dry erase board, but he has to do it in front of people. And he's an entrepreneur and a what is he? He does business development, that kind of thing, for entrepreneurs. But my point is, that was recognized. It was recognized by some teacher of his when he was in high school that, hey, bro, you're not fucking stupid. You have this issue. And all we need to do is figure out how to harness and fix this issue, how to work around it. And the guy became a freaking bazillionaire because he was given that opportunity. So that's my point there is there are people who truly don't give a shit. You know what? Just don't let them interfere with your training. Don't let it be a safety hazard. Be present for the others. However, make sure that you double check yourself, that you understand that, all right, maybe there's a freaking issue here because he could be broken. He could have personal issues. He could have got a letter from home that, said his dad just died or some shit like that. So make sure you check and double check before you don't give a shit about him not giving a shit. It's a long way to answer that question, but sometimes that's how I roll, bro. I'm going to get a pinch, guys. Hope you don't mind, but first pinch of the day.
Go ahead. Don't be bashful, gents. Hey, Pat, I'll throw in another question there. As you live this life, man, it presents challenges left and right.
Yep.
Even in my own personal life, I went through a tough divorce, and resets you, makes you think about whether you're doing the right thing in the service of the country. And I know Marines are going through a lot in their own personal lives. And at what point do you, or have you taken a knee, or how do you reset, reevaluate, and then kind of move forward in your own
seek shade, take a knee, face out, drink water.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Well, I have developed the ability to be very introspective. Now, and I'm fortunate, and my good fortune came with a lot of bad fortune. You know, it came with a lot of trials, tribulations. I mean, I was a product of alcoholism, depression, and I almost capitulated to darkness. I almost said, "Ah, fuck it, I'm done. Let me just hit rock bottom, and then I'll be good." Because I'm happy right here, accepting mediocrity. Thankfully, I was able to come out of that and find the ember that was within inside me, reignite it, and stoke that motherfucker to an inferno. And that inferno burns hard for me every day. I mean, every day, that inferno. But I make productive use of my off time. That's a big one for me. Off time, when I decompress. So that's what you mean, right? Take a knee.
Yeah.
Yep. So I make productive use of my off time. What I mean by that is I have a saying, because you heard me say, I work 7 days a freaking week. I work 7 days a week, but I have a saying at home. Every night is Saturday night. Every morning is Monday morning. So I try to shut everything down between 1900. I shut work down. It's shut down. And a lot of times I'll meet my wife in town, because that's when she finishes work, and I'll have a pint or two with her, and we chew the fat like schoolgirls. Plus I'm hobby heavy. I've got how many hobbies? I have all of the hobbies, but I have the go-tos, ones that I can get. I could go right now and play the guitar for a half an hour, or go upstairs and play my drums for a half an hour. I mean, I'm not talking hobbies like, things that are going to take me all day to do, but go-tos. I could go in my garage and do a little woodworking. I could fart around with my muscle car for an hour, and take that break. But I make productive use of my off time. I don't take it for granted that I have off time. I'm not going to be one of those guys that sits on his ass drinking a freaking a rack of beers, eating a bag of chips on my off time. I am going to drink beer, but I'm not going to go to the point where I'm out of my cognitive faculties, because when I do that, I'm borrowing time from tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I don't want to borrow time from tomorrow. So I drink a couple beers every night. I make productive use of my off time. I work out like a freaking man possessed. Which is, dude, I mean, in addition to your regular PT, some type of physical activity, combatives, balance work, proprioception, kinesthetic awareness, whatever it is, add that to your daily ritual, because strong body, strong mind, right? Release those endorphins. And the other reason, and I'm going on a tangent here, it's ADD once again. The other reason we want to go out of our normal routine when it comes to PT is, like I said before, routine is a playground of a dull mind, and specialization is for insects. If you're doing the same thing day after day after day after day, you're not recognizing voids in your work, and you're not exercising your freaking brain. So mixing shit up on your PT program actually exercises your brain. Give you another example of that. Hobbies, right? Like music, learning a language, those kind of things. Exercises the poetic side or the right lobe of our brain. And when we exercise, because most of us are analytical. You know, if you're just reading books, doing your job, and doing day-to-day stuff, that's analytical. That's all left side of the brain, right? But having those hobbies and those reset times, you know, I mean, fuck, man, I have them all. I could, you know, I draw, I do photography. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. A lot of different musical instruments. But to me, that's therapy too. You know, I mean, I even freaking watch birds, man. I know that sounds sissy as hell, but I don't care anymore how sissy it sounds. But it's great reset because when I'm doing those things, that's all I am thinking about. You know, I am stuck in the moment. I'm no longer thinking about work and the grind. And if I stay home, if I don't reset, if I don't jump to those hobbies once a day, if I don't have that saying every night, Saturday night, every morning is Monday morning, I'm going to be right here on this computer till 10 at night. I'm just going to be working. I'm going to get stale, and I'm going to start getting depressed again. I'm going to fall into depression. Now, keep in mind that saying, right? Every night is Saturday night, every morning is Monday morning. That's all about making sure that you are once again fulfilled in life. That you've put the work in for the day. Now you could say, but I have to realize tomorrow morning is Monday morning. I have to realize that too. So I'm not going to take a hiatus and go batshit, smoke a bunch of crack, and, you know, get freaking stupid drunk. But I am going to have a good time. I am going to decompress. But there's my short answer for that one. I kind of get winded up.
Yeah, any other questions? Anything? Yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Gurn Sergeant Smith here again. I'm just trying to talk about getting Marines back in the fight. For me, as a Marine, I have had disciplinary actions before, and oftentimes, again, I'm asked to come and talk to this entry-level student who just got NJP'd or whatnot, and trying to re-motivate that Marine to understand that he has a mission to accomplish. This is just the beginning. You still have 3 more years on your contract. Get over this little hump and keep going.
Yep.
But oftentimes, again, those Marines cannot see beyond what has happened now.
Right.
Dealing with your background, and I know you probably have ran into a couple of those situations. How do you get those Marines to act, or individuals to pick themselves back up and continue to truck forward with the mission at hand?
Yeah. Bro, that's a good freaking question, man. And that's tough. You know, that it's not a tough one necessarily to answer, but it's a tough one to deal with. Like for me, I had to do it to myself. You know, I had to realize, holy shit, man, I've got a life in front of me, because I was deep, dark depression for like almost 5 years. And to the point where I didn't recognize myself. When it comes to others, it depends on the individual. Oh my God, man. It so depends on the individual. But I use that Ember speech on them too, you know. I tell them, hey, I try to find something good about them and to open up. For instance, I'll have dudes come to the range and they're obese, you know, civilians, obese, 35 years old, 1 foot in the freaking grave. And I'll put them through shooting drills, and I'll see that they move really well. You know, that their movement is good, that they've got good fluidity, that they've got good proprioception, kinesthetic awareness. And I'll say, you know what? I think to myself, because that's not my place to counsel a civilian. You know, it's not. But I'm going to do it anyway, because I love to make people better people. And I'll say to that guy, damn, bro, your footwork is awesome, man. You got great footwork. I said, there's guys out here who are super fit and their footwork sucks. They're walking around like a duck. I said, what was your sport? You know, did you have a sport in high school? Yeah, man, I was a baseball player, or I boxed, or whatever it is. You know, shit that requires a lot of good fluidity, foot movement. And I said, you got kids at home? I said, yeah, man, I have a 7 and a 9-year-old. I said, hey, bro, I'll pull them off the side. I said, you got to be around for them. You have to be around for them. I mean, if you just took off like 30 pounds, 30, which when actually he probably has to take off 80. I say, well, if you just took off 30 pounds, imagine how your knees will feel at the end of the day compared to how they feel now. And you've got to be around for those kiddies, bro. Now, my point is, all I'm doing is I'm looking to see if there's an ember, right? I'm probing that guy. I'm just seeing if there's an ember, and I'm looking in his eyes, and I'm trying to look into his soul. If I see an ember, I'm just going to talk to him a little bit more, and I'm going to nurture that ember until there's a flame. And then I can just pass this flame off to him. There you go. That flame is yours. You have got to keep putting freaking fuel on that now. This is your job. It's not my job to kick you in the ass, bro. It's my job to light a fire under your ass, but you have to be self-driven. You have to be self-governed. If you, and then here's another saying that I invented, and this is a great one to use if you guys don't know this one, is I'll tell them, hey, bro, you don't have to run like a gazelle. You don't have to run like me, because I could run like a scalded ape. But think of it this way. You just have to make an incremental improvement. Incremental improvement. If you cloned yourself yesterday, can you kick your clone's ass tomorrow? It's as simple as that. Incremental improvement. Incremental. And if the fire is there, usually I don't have to say much more. If the guy is broken, all you could do is try. But your delivery is good, because the way you asked that question to me, so you've got the right kind of delivery. A lot of people don't have that. They don't have delivery. You know what I mean? Because you have the ability to inspire or, fire somebody up based on your delivery. Not everybody has that. Not everybody has that ability. So you run with that, consider that a gift, and just all you can do is try, because there's several people I've tried with and I couldn't make it happen, but it's usually rare for me because I know when it's time to approach, only because I have dealt with so many freaking people, not only in the military, but after military life. Holy crap, the amount of people that I've trained and talked to and looked in the eye. Skill set disparities all over the freaking map. Motivation levels all over the map. A ton of baggage. People with fucking problems, man. Like legit problems. Catastrophic type of shit. I've seen them pull, come out of that freaking hole. I said a line on a couple podcasts. I mentioned a couple lines. When you have a guy who's down, you might tell him, hey, bro, I know how you feel. You feel like you've been buried. Bro, you haven't been buried. You were fucking planted. Grow with this. Take this opportunity. Make this an opportunity for you to learn from and better yourself. Because the best people in the world, right? The best, most successful businessmen, and I could put myself in this category, have fallen flat in their freaking dicks dozens and dozens and dozens of times. I have gone ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows. I've made all the mistakes in business. Every freaking one of them. Nobody's helped me out. Nobody. And because of that, I made all of the mistakes. But because I made all the mistakes and was able to learn from the past, prepare for the future, and perform in the present, I have made myself a better person. And I'm right now, I'm 55 fucking years old now, and I'm at top of my, just recently, I'm at like top of my game right now. Physically, financially, mentally, my motivation level, all that shit, just recently. It's like I started life all over again just 5 years ago. I had to start life all over again. So if you could find that ember and nurture it just a little bit until it becomes a flame, man, it becomes their job now to keep the blaze alive. I wish you the best on it, because it's tough.
Yeah, go ahead.
Afternoon, sir. Gunner Sergeant Williams.
as an entrepreneur of your caliber, what kind of advice could you give someone who's actually just starting out to try to get themselves in your position?
Yep, I got you. So a couple, a couple mistakes I made that I always tell people don't make the same mistakes is, you know, if you're thinking like to the future, right? Thinking, you know, when I retire, when I get out of the service, when I ETS, whatever it is, it's never. I mean, you could start now. You could be active duty and start on a road to entrepreneurialism by doing something small. It could be a freaking Etsy store, bro. You know what I'm saying? Something tiny. It could be writing a blog. You know, it could be writing an article under a pseudonym for magazines. It could be the smallest shit. If there's no room in my pipeline, there's no room in my pipeline to jam shit, but I'm still jamming shit into that pipeline. Because I've learned too many times that you can't have all your eggs in one basket because that'll bite you in the freaking ass. You know, having all your eggs in one basket will bite you in the ass. And I learned, you know, with 22 years in the military, when I retired, I worked for a corporation training dudes for 4 years. And that was low hanging fruit. You know, I picked low hanging fruit. So that was another mistake I made. And I felt comfortable. I was accepting mediocrity, you know, and one of the things I learned is never be comfortable with being comfortable. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because when you're comfortable, that's when shit goes south. And if you don't have a contingency plan, when you're on your own, it's going to bite you in the freaking ass. And it did for me, because that one job I got laid off and I'm like, what the fuck does this even mean? What does laid off mean, bro? What does that mean? What do I do now? I got a family, man. I got bills to pay. And I'm not going to be able to support my family on pension. So I was able to come out of that. But even when I started working on for myself, I was doing military contract work, you know, contracting, you know, like for instance, you guys would hire me, the Army would hire me, Secret Service would hire me. It was all government shit. And then 2013, sequestration happened. Light switch went out, click, no work, 8 months, no freaking work, no paycheck. So that's when I put a rubber band around my neck and snapped the fuck out of it and said, never again, not all eggs in one basket. I've got to diversify. I've got to stay interested. You know, keep the knowledge flowing. Always learn new tasks, new trades, new skills. Because I don't want that to happen to anybody. And if I could help make a difference when it comes to that, man, I'm all about it. But there's a couple tips for you. I don't know if it helped or not, but I hope it did.
Hey, Pat, I'm cognizant of your time, man, and it's valuable. We had planned for an hour.
Yep.
We've got about 5 more minutes to go, but before I turn it over to you for your final comments, I know I got a lot out of this, and I hope everyone else did. And I'm getting the head nods. I don't know if you can see it from here, but again, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you did for this country, and you still do for this country, even after you've hung up the uniform.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And one of the things too, whenever you guys depart or even while you're active, don't be a rest on your laurels, motherfucker. You know, don't be one of those, well, this is what I did yesterday type of dudes. You know, even while you're active, always look, think to yourself, I was a bad motherfucker yesterday, but guess what? Tomorrow, I'm a badder motherfucker. You know, yesterday don't mean shit. Tomorrow's the day you have to face. So that's one of my isms and my maxims that I take with me every day. Another one is remember Jerry Rice, 90s Hall of Famer football player. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Some of you guys don't remember. Some of you guys are old enough to remember. But Jerry Rice was a Hall of Famer and self-driven, self-governed. He did shit on his own, which any great athlete does, right? All the greats, they don't just do what is required of them by their coaches and their trainers. They go out and they push the extra mile. They learn new shit. They study their craft. Jerry Rice is saying, and if this doesn't give you goosebumps, you should put this above your freaking on your refrigerator and wake up to it every morning. Jerry Rice had a saying that says, I will do today what others won't, so I could do tomorrow what others can't. Yeah, put that in your freaking pipe and smoke it. But we're a product of ourselves, and all we can do is make ourselves the best version of ourselves. And it's that kind of attitude is going to carry with you, not just in the Marine Corps, but whenever you depart down the road. So you've got to make good use of the time that you have now. Take advantage of this schoolhouse, duty, because it can be very rewarding if you use your time wisely. If you make the best out of your time, assets available, and just keep that in mind, man. You're forging tomorrow's warriors too. You're making people better people. That's your job. That's your mission, and you got to stay freaking on point. You got to stay on track with that mission. You got to stay mission focused. But yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys.